there are quite a handful of Pokemon that look very punk core. You know, Pokemon like Toxtricity, Scrafty, Lycanroc, Skuntank. So today I will be using a full team of Pokemon that represent punk culture. If you have an idea for a Pokemon team, be sure to comment below, and I will use it. And if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. Now let's get right into the battles. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, lovely people. Today I am using a punk team, so Pokemon that look like they're like a part of punk culture. Special thank you to ChuckyFan6696 for this team idea. I'm actually super down with the idea, just because I love pop punk and like Blink-182 is my favorite band. So, I have two battles to showcase as always, and I hope you enjoy these battles. Now, leading things off here with my Skuntank. I thought the suggestion listed Skuntank, so I was like, you know, I could see it with its like tail being like a mohawk. So this is a choice scarf Skuntank. Thankfully, I was able to hit the second gun shot versus the Flutter Mane. Now, in terms of Chansey, now I knew that I wasn't really going to be doing a lot of damage to this, and I kind of figured that either Stealth Rock or a Thunder Wave was coming. So I thought, well, I could set up on this with my Crocodile. Crocodile is here because, you know, he's a punk croc, right? He has that mohawk on his hair, right? So this is a Dragon Dance Crocodile. This, unfortunately, I get paralyzed, but I'm running a Dragon Dance Liquidation, Ice Punch, and Low Kick with Terra Fighting. And unfortunately, this Chansey has Charm as well, so there was like, oh my goodness, that's like such a bad move into me. So I went into my Scrafty here just to knock off the Eviolite from this thing, because of course it's going to be running Eviolite. Now, this is a specially defensive Scrafty. This is a pretty bad set, but I really wish I had Intimidate, but I actually have a Shed Skin. More on that later. So, into my Toxtricity here. Now, this Toxtricity has Psychic Noise, so I thought, okay, well, if I chip this Chansey down, maybe they'll go for, I don't know, maybe a Seismic Toss, and then I could go for Psychic Noise on the next turn and deny them their healing, but they opt to go for the Soft Boil, then they actually swap in the Petra Run after. So I was like, okay, well, this is fine. This is a max health Toxtricity with an Assault Vest. So it's going to be able to tank these special hits really well. So the Petra Run coming in is going to go for the Shadow Ball, and that is not going to do anything to me. I'm fully specially defensive, and I have the Psychic Noise to take out the Petra Run. So I was like, okay, that's really good. This set is like all sound-based moves. It's like Overdrive, Psychic Noise, Snarl. Okay, Sludge Wave is not a sound-based move, but I have that move on it. And, of course, this is running Punk Rock. Now, for this Punk team, obviously, I have both of the Toxtricity forms on this team, because obviously they both have Punk Rock, and it's like a Punk team. I feel like I had to break Species Clause, although that doesn't apply to me necessarily, but I am using both forms of Toxtricity in this game. Now, I'm going to get taken out there by the Koraidon Flare Blitz, so I was like, okay, well, hopefully my Scrafty can tank this, but if it doesn't, then, which it doesn't, then I know 100%, okay, this Koraidon is definitely choice banded, because Scrafty actually has really good bulk, and it's able to live a Flare Blitz from this thing, but not if it's banded, right? So, there goes the Koraidon. It's going to swap out, obviously, so they're going to bring in their Ursaluna. Now, I do have Play Rough on this, but Play Rough misses. Oh my goodness, if they stayed in, and I missed my Play Rough, that would have been such a disaster, but thankfully, they did swap out into Ursaluna. Not like I had the best switches this is this Pokemon anyway, so I definitely had to sacrifice one of my Pokemon, and they went for the Drain Punch on my Lycanroc. Oh my goodness. So there goes my Lycanroc. I'll explain that set in the next battle, but oh my gosh, that set was terrible. So, the Ursaluna is obviously going to have the Guts, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to bring in my best Pokemon here, which is my amped up Toxtricity. So, this Toxtricity has Shift Gear. This is like the best one on my team. It's Terra Normal Boom Burst, and I have Encore on this. So in case a Pokemon wants to use a setup move, or in this case, I locked Ursaluna into Drain Punch, because if this had like a ground move, even if it had Facade, it was gonna do like a number on my team, and my Skuntank wasn't really gonna do a lot of damage to this because, of course, Ursaluna has a lot of natural bulk, right? So I'm going to get my Throat Spray. This is a Throat Spray Toxtricity as well. And I was like, okay, well, I should be able to 2-hit KO with the Boom Burst after, like, the burn damage and the special attack boost from the Throat Spray. So going for another Boom Burst, and that's going to take out the Ursaluna, thankfully. I was like, okay, that's really good. That Pokemon is super threatening. So In comes the Ogerpon. I was like, okay, well, this is probably going to outspeed me and revenge KO me, but I outspeed it. I was like, what the heck? I didn't even set up a shift gear. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I outsped that. They're probably not really getting speed. So going for the overdrive, not the overdrive, the boom burst on the incoming Chansey, but the Chansey has healing wish. I was like, oh geez, they're gonna recover their Koraidon up to full health. And I know that this is a choice banded Koraidon, seeing the damage on my Scrafty, so I was thinking here, okay, well, I do have my Scarf, I do have my Choice Scarf Skuntank. I blanked on the name for a second. I do have my Choice Scarf Skuntank in the back, and I have Terra Fairy Play Rough. So I need this Koraidon to chip itself as much as possible if they decide to go for Flare Blitz. But they're going to Terrasilize into a fighting type, and they're actually going to go for the close combat. Now, even though I resist this, there is like no chance I am living this. Even if I was like max HP, like I would not have been living that at all, just because this Pokemon is really, really strong. Obviously, it's like a legendary. So here I thought, well, I want them to... My thought process here was I want them to lower their defenses because I know that they're banded. I want them to lower their defenses and continuously go for close combats versus me. So they're going to opt to close combat again. Now, I swapped out just in case they weren't actually banded, in case they were like, I don't know, Black Belt or like some like Adamant Nature or something. So I'm going to swap back into my Skuntank, and I thought, okay, well, this is perfect. I just hope that I land because they're -2 defense, but I should be able to take this out and outspeed with the Choice Scarf Play Rough on my Skuntank. So going for the Play Rough, and I hit, oh, thank goodness. And with the -2 defense, I'm able to take out the Koraidon. Thank goodness for that. Oh my goodness, Choice Scarf Skuntank came in super helpful in that game. So hopefully you all enjoyed that game, and we're on to this second battle. Now this second battle was it was really like okay there I made a lot of mistakes in this battle, let's just say that. So the Reva Room is going to lead into my Toxtricity. That's bad because if this Pokemon has high horsepower, it kind of like clobbers through my team, and they're going to set up the shift gear turn 1. I wasn't sure if it was like lead toxic spikes or what, but this Pokemon just got really, really threatening. So they're going to go for the Iron Head on my Scrafty, and I get flinched. Oh my goodness. So, dang, I was going to go for a knockoff that turn. I wanted to knock off an item that this had, but unfortunately my Scrafty is going to get flinched. And I was like, well, that's bad because I was able to take a hit at the very least, but they're going to go for another Iron Head. My Skuntank thankfully lives that. So I'm going to go for the Sucker Punch. Now, I have Aftermath as my ability. I'm also running Play Rough, knockoff, Sucker Punch, and Gunk Shot on this. So I'm going to get as much chip damage with the Aftermath on that as possible, and then swapping my Croconaut after, which I know can live any hit. So they do reveal that they had high horsepower. So it was whether or not they had high horsepower versus like Gunk Shot or Poison Jab. So I'm able to take out the Reva Room at the cost of my Skuntank, which is going to end up being pretty problematic versus this Basculegion here. So the Basculegion is going to take me out with the last respects. Oh my gosh. So I was like, well, is this thing choiced or is it not? So I had to Terrasilize my Toxtricity here because obviously last respects is a crazy move and nothing on my team is going to outspeed this. So I thought, okay, well, if I Terrasilize it to a normal type, I should be able to set up the shift gear in front of it. Now, the first mistake I made in this battle was losing my Skuntank. The second mistake was not KOing this Pokemon right away, and you're going to see that later on. So the Basculegion is going to swap out versus my not my Skuntank, my Toxtricity, and they're probably anticipating me to go for an overdrive, which I do, and I do have health to the Skeledirge. Now, Punk Rock is such an insane ability, doubling the base power of the sound-based moves. It's super hard, and you're gonna see another niche of Punk Rock in a bit. So they're actually gonna Terrasilize their Skeledirge. So I was like, is this Terra Ground? And it is Terra Ground. I was like, oh my goodness. That's really interesting that they're Terra Ground. They're probably like Terra Ground Earth Power on this. So obviously my overdrive is not going to work because they're going to be immune to that. And they're going to go for the slack off and recover their health. Now, I was thinking here, well, this isn't the worst thing necessarily because I do have Encore and I can always lock in that Skeledirge into slack off and then use up all of their slack off PP and then constantly spam Boom Burst and just click what's in front of me. Because Interestingly, I thought Boomburst only had 8 PP, but it has 16 PP. It's actually really powerful. Like, I can't believe they gave this strong of a base power to a move and still give it a lot of power points. So they're gonna double swap into their Galarian Slowking. Like I said, I was just clicking what's in front of me. I didn't. There was no need for me to predict, essentially, like to go for like Boom Burst on Basculegion, for example. So I'm gonna 2-hit KO the Galarian Slowking with the overdrive into Boom Burst. Like, Galarian Slowking, it might have been Assault Vest, but that just was taken out. So going for that Boom Burst, I thought even if they swap in their Basculegion, I could always threaten that with an overdrive. I just barely missed the KO on the Skelligers. Now, they go for the Torch Song. That does nothing to me because Punk Rock also halves the damage from sound-based moves. So the Torch Song really didn't do a lot because of my ability. So I was like, okay, that's good. I got to show off both sides of Punk Rock, so that's cool. So going for the Terra Normal Boom Burst, like I said, I'm not predicting anything. I'm just clicking what's in front of me. And there goes the Skeletor. So I'm like, okay, this is good. I have a really good position, but they have a Skarmory. Now, this is a problem because Skarmory has Sturdy, and obviously I will hit it into Sturdy, but they could just always revenge KO me with Body Press, which they went for. So if I lost my Toxtricity that turn, I kind of lost right then and there because Basculegion could easily go for Last Respect versus my entire team, and I would have been completely screwed, right? So the Cyclizar is going to come in versus my other Toxtricity, my Assault Vest. They're going to actually knock off the Assault Vest, and they actually have a Shell Bell as an item. Now, I went for the Overdrive this turn just in case they opted to go for the Shed Tail and like pass off a substitute versus the Basculegion or the Skarmory, but they actually get taken out there, so I was like, okay, that's interesting. Now, in comes the Basculegion. Now, this is where I made the third mistake of this game, and I swapped in my my Scrafty here because I was like, okay, well, this Pokemon isn't really going to be super useful because it's on a low amount of health, but like, looking back, I definitely could have used it to like potentially set up versus the Skarmory. I just don't know if the Skarm was like, if it was Iron Defense Body Press, there was probably no chance, but like, I don't know, I could have used that to like maybe set up or something, especially since I had knockoff, right? So going for this Choice Specs Snarl, this is a Choice Specs Lycanroc. This is such a terrible set. So Lycanroc absolutely does not get any special rock moves. So I have Modest Nature on this, and I have Terra Blast Rock on this. It's so bad. And I have Earth Power Snarl and Hyper Voice. So yeah, this Pokemon was definitely the worst one on my team. And I was out here just spamming Choice Specs Snarls versus the Skarmory because I was like, okay, if they Body Press at any point that I bring in my Toxtricity, then I just lose outright, right? Because I'm super weak. And you're going to see, I almost swapped in my Toxtricity this turn, anticipating them to want to, go for a Body Press. I was so close to doing it. But then I was like, if they go for a Body Press, that's really bad into Basculegion. So, because I could have encored the Skarmory into, like, Roost, or, like, they just went for Stealth Rock, and maybe they have Spikes or something, right? So I could have locked them into that. And then I could have, it was a 50-50 from there as well, because it was either they stay in and like anticipate me to go for Encore, or they swap out into Basculegion, and then like they anticipate the Encore, they could just outspeed my my Toxtricity. So unfortunately, I'm able to take out the Skarmory at the very least, but at this point, I lost, right? Like, even though I'm up 3-1, Basculegion is going to outspeed all of the Pokemon on my team. Whether or not I figured that it was probably Choice Banded just on the way that they swapped out versus my Lycanroc. Now, Lycanroc does naturally outspeed Basculegion, but I'm running Modest, so I'm actually not going to be able to outspeed this. And I kind of figured that this Basculegion was, like, jolly because they're going to be able to outspeed my Toxtricity. Oh, man, like I said, I definitely made a lot of mistakes in this game, but, like, I make a lot of mistakes in general. I don't know how long I can use the excuse that I'm just, like, starting out, because that is true, but I've also been doing this for a couple of months, so I don't know. It's all a learning experience at the end of the day. In any case, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed both battles. My name is SkyLaaa. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you all next time.